Welcome back to our course on game theory. If you enjoy learning a little bit about game theory, please click like and subscribe. You'll receive updates. I'm dropping new episodes regularly to help teach you about game theory. This is part of the requirement if you're taking the class at Susquehanna University, but even if you're not, this provides a lot of really good information, and I'll even have some supplemental assignments you could try throughout the course to learn a little bit about really one of my favorite subjects. So today we're going to look at conflict strategy and games, really part of the introduction. This is the second video in the series. The first was a little bit on some background on probabilities, looking at just a little bit on definitions. Today, get a little bit more into the games themselves, although we're still at the very beginning. Going to start today by watching I Need a Hero from the movie Footloose. While you're watching this, I know you're just being introduced to game theory, but I want you to think about who are the players in this game and what are the strategies that each player has within the game. Let's watch the clip now. Okay, fantastic movie. I mean, it's tough to believe the movie's about 40 years old now. But I asked you to think about a couple questions during the song. So who are the players? Well, the players are the two people driving at each other, right? Kevin Bacon's character and the other character. Those are the players within the game. What are the strategies that they have? Well, the strategies really are to continue on the route right at each other, or to swerve. Now, there's steps beyond this that we'll be starting to think about soon, beyond the strategies, to what are the payoffs from each outcome. Right, and here it's an interesting one, right? If both players swerve, they both look a little bit foolish, but nobody, gets into this massive crash. If neither player swerves, they crash into each other and, perhaps even injure or kill each other. Very, very bad outcome. And of course, if one player swerves, well, the other player doesn't. The player who doesn't swerve is, of course, the hero. Whereas the player who swerves is embarrassed, friends are going to make fun of them because they didn't die. Really, it's kind of a dumb game they were playing. But, it's the game. And, they look foolish. They'd lose face in front of their friends, in front of this opponent they were battling against. So that's the idea on this game. And kind of a very simple 2x2 simultaneous decision game. We're going to be looking at a lot of these types of games in the beginning of the course. So what is game theory? Wanted to start off by something kind of fun, but then think through what is game theory. It's the study of strategic interactions by rational agents. It's looking at usually serious situations, often serious situations that aren't games at all, but thinking about them as if they're games, and then thinking what insights can we get by treating this as a game and trying to solve for what are the best actions individuals could take within the game. It began really in studying simple games in the early 20th century, and von Neumann and Morgenstern, the theory of games and economic behavior. So this book, kind of a classic, written in the 40s, reprinted, goes through a number of initial games. Really, it's really the foundational piece that launched game theory, and something near and dear to my heart as somebody who likes poker. They began studying issues like bluffing in poker, and you could think about this conceptually even if you're not a poker player. Everybody knows really what bluffing is. There's the idea that if you were to have somebody who bluffs every time they get the chance, well, your opponent could very easily be profitable by not having to think, by just calling every time. If you're somebody who never bluffs, your opponent is also pretty easy, right? They should never call unless they have a really, really strong hand. Therefore, to keep your opponents off kilter and to maximize your expected value, you should be bluffing some percentage. And there's actually optimal percentages that you could figure out on how often you should be bluffing. And so they began by studying those issues. John Nash, which many of you would have heard of, he's the subject of the 2001 Academy Award-winning movie A Beautiful Mind. He really helped catapult the discipline with his dissertation and other work in the 1950s. But von Neumann and Morgenstern, they began studying issues that aren't thought of as games through a game theoretic analysis. So economic competition, military conflict, a couple big ones, right? I mean, game theory has been used to think about nuclear weapons and nuclear deterrent. Nothing funny about that, nothing game-like about that. Very serious issues, but game theory analysis helped provide some insight, including the rumors are that the reason there was the phone hotline from the President of the United States to the President of the USSR was because game theorists recommended it, right? If there was ever this moment like you launch nuclear weapons, it would be really good if those two could call and say, no, we didn't, to prevent, the deaths of tens or hundreds of millions of people. So game theory studies strategic interactions used for very serious things. Game theory can be covered in other disciplines and is covered in other disciplines other than economics. Why do economists use game theory a lot, and why is game theory often housed within economics? Well, neoclassical economics, it's based on the assumption that people make rational choices in order to maximize their utility, sometimes with perfect information, often without perfect information. And game theory is kind of similar. We assume individuals are going to look at things, come up with a decision, and make their best response with all of the information available. So what types of things can you use? This is a partial list of subjects where you could really get some great insights from game theory. So industrial organization, bargaining, labor economics, politics, games and sporting events, and really almost anything else you could think of. You could probably find some way to apply game theory to it. That's all for this video. We have a second part where we're discussing conflict strategy in games. I'm going to start that video looking at the TV show Golden Balls and a really interesting split or steal prisoner's dilemma type game. I look forward to seeing you in that next video.